Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with week 4 of the NFL. In case you don't see my Twitter, I am now 7-0 the first week, 10-0 the second week, and 10-1 week 3. So I'm 27-1 so far this year, picking games and teasers. Just been amazing. Everything that kind of makes sense I'm going with, and everything seems to be uh, working well. I mean, I'm looking at a game and I'm just looking at my analysis and my trends, and everything's perfect. It's just you couldn't dream of a better scenario. I had 3 locks last week. I won with the Green Bay over was my big lock. I had them in 2 locks against New Orleans. I bet the game over. Then I had Kansas City Baltimore over. That was a winner. And then I had Arizona even against the line, actually getting a half. And Murray really let us down. 3 interceptions. I'm like, seriously? 2 of them were just pathetic, and he just threw it right at the lion. Very, very disappointing. I got to give the Lions some credit for the way they defensed him. Normally, what he's been doing is like, you know, he'll run out of the pocket. He thinks he's at Oklahoma. He thinks it's college. So he'll go back to pass, and then he sees the gap and he runs. And the Lions seem to have at least 2 guys spying him the whole game. Because when he'd come up to start to run, there'd be a linebacker sitting there. So somehow the receivers couldn't get open, or he just made bad reads. Um, they should have won the game, but he threw an interception at his own 15-yard line and another at the 40. The guy returned to the 15, so they gifted the Lions 10 points. And then at the end, they 3-and-outed, and the Lions came down and kicked a field goal. It happens. I've got to relook at Arizona and Murray aren't as strong as I thought. There's no excuse to lose to the Lions. They're pathetic anyway. Worst coach in all major sports, and very weak team. So it's tough to lose that one, but that happens. Otherwise, I was hitting everything. I'm even hitting games I'm not picking. I'm not betting on like Pittsburgh last week and the Rams Buffalo. I had the Rams in 8. I didn't pick it because I was scared of Buffalo, and the Rams win, and so I mean everything's winning. Um, anyway, so let's. One other thing I like to talk about is the over unders. The reason I've been very successful so far this year in locking them is they've been very bad. Oh yeah, they've been very low. Things that are maybe low 50s or high 40s that should be higher aren't, and I'm taking advantage where all I got to do is score 45 points, sometimes 41, sometimes 48, 47. Which, when you look at it and you just look at the score and you go, well, 28-24 is a 52. And that's not hard for most teams. And look at the Lions, Arizona. As bad as they both played, it was 26-23. It was still a 49. Um, Most of the games are going over, except for the Jets who can't score, the Giants who can't score. Philadelphia, Carson Wentz looks terrible. I mean, that guy's just pathetic. I don't know what anybody saw in him in the first place. He got lucky the first year, that MVP year, and then he hurts his knee because he's too stupid to slide head first, or you can't take the hits in the NFL. And I remember that was against the Rams, um, but so he's just not he's a lot like Kyler Murray, but he can't pass as well. He wants to run. See, this is the problem with these quarterbacks. They want to the good ones stay in the pocket. Drew Brees barely runs. Brady barely runs. Never really did. Even Mahomes, he's looking to kill you with the pass. And then if he sees that he can run for 5 yards, pick up a first down, Russell Wilson, he's a quarterback first, but he can escape and get the first. He's only doing it like it's 3rd and 8, and I can get 9 yards if I scramble out, nobody's open, and he'll do that. Those are the quarterbacks you bet on. These other quarterbacks, Darnold, and I thought Josh Allen, but he looks like he's getting smarter and he's throwing more. This Carson Wentz, uh, Daniel Jones he's not even a pro. He's needs more college. Um, Kyler Murray, where they're Kyler Murray, I thought was a little better thrower, but basically these are quarterbacks that really take 2 3 seconds to look, and then they try to run and gain 5 6 yards, and you don't win with it. And the Baltimore KC game is the perfect analogy where KC clearly Mahomes just shows you the difference over um, Jackson. I mean, Jackson wants to run, Mahomes wants to throw. Who wins those games? Who wins the playoff games? It's not Jackson because he wants to run. And when you get into the games with better defenses, they will take that run away from you and say, you got to beat us passing, and he's not a good passer, Jackson, or Wentz, or any of these guys. If Wentz would have played, they never would have won the Super Bowl. Nick Foles is definitely a better, sits in the pocket, better quarterback. You watch the Bears. I mean, they came on against Atlanta. That one scared me. I had the over in that game, and I needed like another touchdown, and like there's 5 minutes left, and then finally they lighted up and scored two or three. Um, that's the other thing I'm noticing is you're getting a lot of points in the fourth quarter. So if you're betting over and you're close going into that fourth quarter, you're probably going to get it if you have over teams. If you have under teams, you're not. Um, so I categorize all the teams, overs and unders. Normally, an over team is Atlanta, it's Dallas, it's Green Bay, where these teams score 30, 40 a game. Like here's my over teams. Green Bay, they score 41, give up 28. Seattle scores 37, gives up 29. Even Buffalo's moving into it, scored 31. Their defense still giving up 26. Now I draw the line at KC, who's probably an over, but all of a sudden they're scoring 30 and giving up only 20. Now, granted, they played San Diego, doesn't score a lot, and then they played Baltimore, who does score a lot. So now these stats are getting better. If you keep playing weak teams, the stats really aren't very good. But once okay, Casey, you went to Baltimore and won. You score 30 and give up 20. That's your trend. So they're not as much of an over as they've been. Their defense is tighter. But with Mahomes, if he needs to score, he scores. Atlanta scores 30, gives up 36. Dallas scores 29, gives up 32. Oakland scores 29, gives up 30. New Orleans scores 29 and gives up 31. So just an example, those are the over teams. The under teams are the Jets, who scored 12, the Giants, who score 13, Denver, who scores 15, San Diego scores 17, gives up 19. So those four are basically your under teams. So that's what you're looking for. Then you look at the right number. You can't get they can't make them too high. Like in college, they'll make a 77. Well, I'm not going to bet that over. But if you put it in the 60s or 50, if you put it at 50 or 58 or 60, and I can tease it down with some good over teams, good quarterbacks, then I'm going to bet it over. So that's just food for thought. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I mean. I'm hitting a lot of over unders as I'm getting ready for the teams to show. This week I have 4 lock teasers, 2 pros, 2 college. Well, one of the colleges with the pro. Then I have 2 other college teams, and then I have 2 pros. And this should be another big week. You get your matchups, and then who do you avoid? Um, so let's talk about a game. All right. I'm going to talk about Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Just something off the cuff. Cincinnati's lane 3 over under of 48. Now, I love Joe Burrow, and he's doing well. Let's look at Joe Burrow this year. So, Joe is, as soon as I can find him, all right, he's throwing 65%, 273 yards a game, 5 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. He is leading the league in sacks, 14 sacks for 100. Like Philly sacked him a lot, and I know San Diego sacked him a lot. So it's not necessarily the offensive line. He needs to throw it a little quicker, throw screens behind the blitzes, but not overall not bad. Jacksonville Gardner Minshew, he's throwing for 74%, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks, 262 a game. When I look at the overall, Cincinnati, they score 22 and they give up 25, so they have kind of a weak defense. Not too weak, not a giving up like Green Bay 39 a game or 30 a game. They give up 25. So Burrow throws for 273. They run for about 80, and they've got 353 total yards. So they're not an over. They're probably a little bit more of an over team because they have Burrow. And then we look at Jacksonville, who scores 23. They give up 28, so they got a weak defense. Minshew throws for 262. They run for 109, 371. They played Miami last week, gave up 31, scored 13. A total of 44, and I had them over. I teased the 47 down to 41. And again, you're looking at the score and you're going, all I got to do for 41 is 24 to 20, and you're a winner. And that doesn't seem like a lot. I'm a little surprised Jacksonville only got 13 against Miami, but I think he threw an interception at the goal line near the end, so it would have been a little bit more. So they can drive down. Cincinnati last week played Philly to a 23-23 tie. So they scored 23 on Philly, and Philly has a weak defense. They scored 20 and 29, so it ended up 23-23. I can't believe nobody could score there, but in the overtime. But anyway, so again, they played to a 46. Their over/under was 46. They hit it right on. A teaser wins either way. So again, they scoring in the 20s. They're giving up in the 20s. Jacksonville, I'd be surprised if they only got 13 on Cincinnati with their weak defense. So Jacksonville, they need to run it a little bit more, but basically, 334. So the over/under is 48. So I like the over in this game at 42. I think Burrow scores a lot here against the weak Jacksonville defense. I think they get into the 30s. And I think Jacksonville should be able to get into the 20s. I think this should be at least a 50-point game. Just looking at kind of not really strong defenses. They can both score. And again, it's an average. So if we look at the week before, Cincinnati plays Cleveland 35-30. So they scored 30 on Cleveland. And let's look at Cleveland's defense. Again, not a great defense. Cleveland scores 25 and gives up 29. So Jacksonville gives up 28. That puts me thinking Cincinnati's looking at a 30-point game with Burrow. I think they finally win one, but I'm not going to lay points with Cincinnati at this time. Jacksonville is bad, but they're not that bad. They are capable. If I look at the week prior, Jacksonville played Tennessee 33-30. So there you go. So they still scored 30 points on Tennessee. So it's not, you take the average with a grain of salt the first few weeks. But I think that's a very good over-under. And the over-under there is 48. So it's not in the mid-50s. Let me give you a second game. All right, let's talk about San Diego and Tampa Bay. So you notice I didn't get into the trends of home favorite and home dog because I'm doing over and under for Cincinnati. If I did do the trends, Cincinnati's kind of a weak home favorite. Like I told you last week on the tape, Baltimore is a bad home favorite, and they were. And Kansas City is unbelievable against the teaser, like 85%. And that's exactly what happened, right? They Baltimore at home, Kansas City just blew them out. Said, "See you later, boys." And that's why the trends now they're not 100%, but they give you sight into what do you think should happen because we've got to predict this before the game and not after. It's easy after the game, but before the game, how do you determine the winner is mostly history, if you can, and that's what bothers me in the beginning when you've got all these, you got Justin Herbert at San Diego now. I don't know, but what's going to happen? Um, and you've got a few others now. Driscoll's at Denver, and then you got Mullins now at Frisco, who I like. You got Newton now at New England, and you got so you've got these new guys. How are they going to be? And that's really the key to it is getting their stats. Bridgewater, Carolina. Now Bridgewater's looking better than I thought. Um, just so you got it, when Tagliavue, starts in Miami, if he's over the injury, which I doubt, you don't get over that hip injury like in a few months when Bo Jackson couldn't recover from that hip injury. And you want me to believe Tug Tagliavue is all of a sudden going to be 100% after the same injury that sidelined Bo Jackson? I don't think so. I'm not, and he's injury prone anyway. But once he takes over, I would imagine, depending on who they play, if they were to play New England, I'd lock New England over that because they'll kill Tug Tagliavue. Any really good defensive team will kill him because he's clueless. Again, well, I don't want to get into him, but again, against the good teams, he was terrible. He was good against the weak, New Mexico states. Anyway, so let's talk about Tampa Bay, San Diego. Um, if we look at the trends here, so Tampa Bay, this is the problem. Tampa Bay's trends are not with Tom Brady; they're with Winston, and Winston was terrible, and he threw the ball, turned the ball over a lot. So it's hard to use Tampa Bay's trends. New England, on the other hand, as home favorites, were pretty good. They were 8-3 last year. If you add 18 to it, they're 17-3. If you add 17 to it, 24-6. So Brady at home is usually very good, and that's all you can go by. You can't go by the Tampa Winston stats. Now it leaves you with, well, look at San Diego. Now again, San Diego's trends are all screwed up because Phillip Rivers. So San Diego, and I love San Diego as a road dog. Last year, now here's interesting. They're 5-0 as a road dog last year. 5-0 if you bet against. They're now 17-2 against. 89% San Diego against in a teaser. No matter where they are, 17-2. Again, Tampa Bay, I can't really comment on it. I can look at this year quickly. Tampa Bay's 2-1 in a teaser, losing to the New Orleans that first week. But as a favorite, they're 2-0. And San Diego this year is 2-1 against their 3-0 against. So this is going to be a game where it's hard to use the trends, but I can use the Phillip Rivers trends. Like the last 2 years, they're 28-9 against, but as we know, they're a great road team. 20-1 in a teaser, 9-0 as a road favorite, 11-1 is a road dog. But that's with Phillip Rivers, and I don't have Phillip Rivers. I got Justin Herbert, who he looks okay. I'm sure he'll be okay, but he's a rookie, and he's going against Tom Brady. When I look at team when I look at the team, uh, Tampa Bay scores 27, and now they only give up 20, and that's the sign of a really good defense. Brady throws for 251, and they run for about 92, but a lot of Brady's running, a lot of his short passes are running yards, as they were in New England. They didn't run a lot either, but he threw to Edelman over the middle, which was basically a 5 yard run. So you got Brady. And then look at San Diego. Now, San Diego is really bad. They only score 17 a game, and they give up only 19. So they have a good defense. Herbert, let's look at his. So let's look at the quarterbacks. So when I look at the quarterbacks, Herbert, he's played 2 games, 70%, 320 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times. So he's 2-2. So he's okay. He's learning. I think he'll be very good. I like him a whole lot better than I like what's his name on the Sam Darnold. I mean Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold stats: 60%, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks, sacked 6 times. See, when you have more picks than interceptions, that's one of the biggest problems. You stink. Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 3 games, 65%, 250 yards a game, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2 of them in the beginning, getting used to the new guy. So you take that away. He's only had 1 the last 2 games. Sacked 5 times. So we all know Tom Brady. Herbert, he's new. Now, the key to this bet is, as I stated last week, how I didn't think Carolina was going to score much, and they didn't. That game ended an under, and I had it as an under, San Diego and Carolina, because of Melvin Ingram and Bosa. And I said, it's going to be hard for a quarterback with those 2 defensive ends to score a lot. Well, Melvin Ingram got hurt. He's out for a few weeks. So now you just got Bosa to worry about. So now it becomes Derwin James is out, the safety, and Melvin Ingram's out, the the defensive end. So you got 2 All-Pros out. So now I'm looking like, okay, this looks like a pretty good bet for Tom Brady. Um, Again, he's still getting used to his guys. Now, they did handle Denver, and Denver's got a good defense. Denver lets up 23 a game. Um, but here the Chargers 19. But when you take Ingram out of the equation, that's got to go up. And they did play Kansas City well. That needed the guy kicking 58-yard field goals to beat them. And that's true. So Mahomes did have problems. There was a lot of holding calls there. But again, you don't have Ingram. They had Ingram in that game, and he gave them fits. But you don't have Ingram now. So now you're betting on Brady to win the game because the spread's lane 7. Over under of 45. So when I look at the numbers, I more tend to go, well, Brady's going to win because Ingram's not playing and Herbert's new. And that's how I look at it. There's no trends to look at. Herbert's played in 2 games, and they lost at Carolina. Now you're asking them to go back to Tampa. I don't know if they stayed on the East Coast. Probably these teams tend to do. I believe the Rams and the Niners stayed on the East Coast because they had back-to-back New York weeks. So I'm looking at that as a disadvantage if San Diego needed to stay or flew back and forth. Either way, I just find San Diego, it's a lot of travel. And Herbert and Brady, who's going to win the game. So a lot of it depends on the quarterback and the defense. Now, if Ingram was playing, I probably wouldn't play this. But because he is, I like Tampa because Tampa's got a good defense too. Tampa's defense is a 20, so it's not like the Chargers are going to do a lot. So let's look at last week. They played Carolina, and we look at Carolina's defense as soon as I can find them. Carolina gives up 27 a game, and they were only able to score like what? It was 21-16. So they only scored 16 on Carolina, who does not have that good of a defense. They were 27, so Tampa's a touchdown better defensively and almost a touchdown better offensively. Carolina's a 23 scoring and 27 on defense. So mostly I'm looking at these numbers, not true, but I'm looking, do they have an offense and a defense? And what I want to do is bet against weak defenses because that I know they stink. So San Diego, I think their defense will be a 23 or 24 without Ingram. What they did against San Diego. So if we look at that San Diego game, San Diego KC beats San Diego 23-20, and that's so they got the win there. They go to Carolina and have problems, and now they're let's see, week one, San Diego won at Cincinnati because the kicker missed it. So they're barely beating Cincinnati in Joe Burrow's first game, and Joe Burrow in Cincinnati gives up 25 a game. So, they're not playing the strongest defenses. The strongest defenses are San Francisco, Indy, Pitt, Baltimore, KC, Tampa, Arizona, and San Diego. So those are your top defenses. So they're not playing them. Although there's an asterisk with Frisco because they basically beat the Jets and the Giants, who are the weakest offensive teams, scoring 12 and 13. So that's what you look at. So I like Tampa minus the one. I'm not crazy. It's hard to go over under if you have a team like Tampa. It doesn't really. They're scoring 27 and it's nice. And Brady, will score. And then you got and the more he's used to the guys, the more weeks he gets with the guys, the more they're going to score. And so they're getting more and more comfortable because now they're working together. And the defense only giving up 20 because Brady's not throwing the interceptions and everything. So it's funny when New Orleans beats Tampa, everybody, Drew Brees is fine, and then he loses to Oakland, and now Drew Brees is too old, his arm doesn't work. And last week I love the Green Bay. That was my lock. Green Bay, New Orleans, Brees and Brady, Brees and Rodgers is exactly what you're looking for. Other overlocks would be Green Bay, Seattle, probably Green Bay, Atlanta, Green Bay, Dallas, Green Bay, Oakland, Green Bay, New Orleans. Any of those teams, Minnesota, they lit them up. Detroit, they lit them up. So all these teams that give up 30, Houston, those are the teams that you go with the over on. So anyway, that's the picks. So take the over in the Cincinnati-Jacksonville game with Tampa Bay minus one. Just need to win, and Brady should take care of that. San Diego will give them a little bit of a game. Defensively, again, missing Ingram is huge for Brady because Brady just has to, who can forget the Denver game when Manning was there and whatchamacallit sacked him 15 times, the defensive end, I can't think of his name, on Denver. And so, he just got hurt by that. But we'll see how Tampa handles Bosa. But I think he'll get rid of the ball quickly and, if they're giving him trouble. But I think he's smart enough to get the ball away and do things like that. And I don't think Herbert, now he's throwing for 283 a game, so he's doing very well. And they got a good offense. I don't know why they're only scoring 17 points, but right now that's the play. Just a quick overview. Teams that are good in a teaser, 19 and 20, 2019 and 2020. The Bears 79%, Frisco 82, Cincinnati 79, Baltimore 80, Buffalo 85, Kansas City 86, and Seattle 76, and looking mighty strong this year. The bet against Detroit 84, the Giants 79, Cincinnati plays a lot of close games, so they're 84 against. So they're a bigger bet against right now. But with Burrow, that see now with Burrow everything changes around. So we'll see. Pittsburgh, because of all the injuries last year, 79. When Roethlisberger doesn't play, so you almost throw that out. Denver 79%, San Diego 89%, and Seattle 81% actually. So this is where I get the Tampa San Diego because was there and they were 17-2 against. And now you replace them. Herbert is nowhere near as good as Rivers. And if they aren't winning with Rivers and you lose Ingram, you basically have the same team, except for you got rid of Melvin Gordon and you picked up some kid from Tennessee or whatever. So, that's again where I'm going from, but with be careful. Now we've got to reset the trends. And I get a lot of questions on that. Like if you just use the trends, what happens when there's a trade? Well, when Peyton Manning went to Denver, I threw out the Denver stats and I'm building after. You got to do it a little quicker, but he's a veteran, so you do 5 or 6 weeks and then you kind of say, okay, here's Manning at Denver. So I got Rivers at Indy and I got Newton at New England. And so I'm very, very aware of my trends with the new quarterbacks I'm watching. And New England's more of a running team, but I'm trying to get are they over or under this week? They're. I've got New England at Kansas City, and I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a 53, and I think it's an over game, but I'm not. I haven't settled on it yet because I know New England's going to run the ball with Newton, and he looked good at Seattle, so I'm kind of basing it there. And then against Oakland last week, they got over, but Oakland. That was a tight game for the first half. I was really sweating on it. But again, they still put up 30 on Oakland, and a big number on Seattle. So again, these are weak defensive teams, and that's why they're so beautiful to bet over. You just keep scoring, and you're scoring by 7. So then you're really looking at it. Am I going to get a team in the 30s against a team in the 20s? If the answer is yes, then it's an over. Because most of these scores end in the mid 40s anyway, unless it's the Jets and Giants who can't score, and then you go under with them. So if you got the right team. Anyway, this is week 4. So again, Teaserking, 27-1, unbelievable. I'm literally like I can't believe I'm 27-1, but on the same token, I'm picking the same way to this week as I did the last 3 weeks. Only I'm trying to avoid betting on like an Arizona. I was more or less betting against Detroit and thinking Arizona beat Frisco. The real now, Murray looks like a very good quarterback. They beat Washington and Frisco, so they beat a good Frisco team. So I was thinking, okay, now they're starting to go. Murray's getting it. Murray didn't get it. Murray doesn't have it yet. And the key is if you can stop him from running, he's below average as a quarterback. He picks it up because he thinks he's at Oklahoma, and if he can run, I think that's how they beat the Niners. Is he ran in for 30 yards or something? He didn't do any of that against Detroit. So that's Detroit's strong point. If they face a running quarterback, they'll do well. Unfortunately, Rodgers isn't a running quarterback, and neither is Drew Brees, who they play this week. Okay, everybody, good luck. I don't know what you're waiting for if you're not buying. Now's the time. 4 locks. I got some people who buy the locks, but if you for another $20, you can buy the pros or the college. How does I've been in the pros So spend 75 and you get, and if you buy the pros, you get the pro locks. If you buy the college, you get the college locks. And of course, if you buy both, you then get all the locks. So the locks come with the weekly pro or college. So you don't have to buy the locks and then buy the pros. Just buy the pros, you get the locks. So that's the advantage. Plus, you get all the other games that I've been killing. All right, everybody. Well, good luck to you, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're making you a lot of money. All right. Have a nice weekend.